All right, let's get into it on the channel. Welcome into the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans. We've got a new linebacker for the Houston Texans to discuss. How exactly does former Colts linebacker E.J. Speed fit into things? Houston Texans. We've got two mock drafts headed your way today. I'll do one, I'll do a mock draft, and then a new fun twist on the mock draft. The chat will decide who is going to be the selection in the second mock draft. We'll put up a quick poll. We'll let the chat vote in a moment, and then we will see who the Texans ultimately select when they're on the clock, decided by you, the fans, and the people in the chat. So hang around for that second mock draft. I got another one coming your way as well. But let's talk about the addition of E.J. Speed to the Houston Texans, the former Colts linebacker and quite the podcaster, that E.J. Speed. If you remember last offseason, a little bit of the war of the words between E.J. Speed and C.J. Stroud amongst a couple of different podcasts, but Speed, a free agent. The Texans bring him in, according to Jordan Schultz, on a one-year deal worth $5 million. Aaron Wilson reported some of the specifics. It's a little over half of it guaranteed is the deal for E.J. Speed, and had a lot of tackles, 142 tackles in 15 games, 7 tackles for a loss, 5 pass breakups, but the folks in Indianapolis ultimately were a little disappointed with E.J. Speed and overall disappointed with the linebacking room that the Colts put out there in 2024. Now, Speed's coming over to the Texans here, and Speed is going to be a guy that is a depth piece for the Texans. He's not starting over Azeez Al-Shaair. He shouldn't start over Henry To'oTo'o. He shouldn't start over a healthy Christian Harris. And with the Texans playing a lot of two linebacker sets last year, I'm not exactly sure that E.J. Speed's going to see the field a ton. It's worth noting as well that the Texans, they have a good amount of special teams linebackers already. Remember, they signed Nick Neiman from the Los Angeles Chargers. Jake Hansen is back on this roster as well. So they don't need Speed to play special teams like, say, Neville Hewitt did last year for the Texans. So he is a depth piece, and should they put him on the field as sort of a rotational player at linebacker or helping out, he should be able to perform decently well. This isn't some game-changing, world-breaking type of move, and it doesn't really put Speed in front of anybody unless those players aren't healthy. Looking at you, Christian Harris. So a healthy Christian Harris, a healthy Henry To'oTo'o, a healthy Azeez Al-Shaair, they should be the three linebackers initially in three linebacker sets. And then in the two linebacker sets, I think TBD from DeMeco Ryans, just to see ultimately what he's going to do and what he brings to the table when it comes to those two linebacker sets. We know they like to put two linebackers out there, put Jalen Petrie in there as that slot cornerback, nickel cornerback, star safety, whatever you want to call the position, star linebacker. I call it the Petrie position. So with those two linebacker sets, we know if Al-Shaair is healthy, he's playing, and then it's either To'oTo'o or Christian Harris, and then Speed should factor into that a little bit. Worth noting, Azeez Al-Shaair got injured last year, missed a little bit of time. So did Henry To'oTo'o. Obviously, we know about Christian Harris's injury last year. So E.J. Speed finds himself with an opportunity to be a depth piece for a linebacker room that wasn't the healthiest linebacker room in the world last year. Fine signing. If you told me he's making the team, he's a backup linebacker, so be it. If you told me that, hey, at the end of training camp, the Texans found out there really wasn't much there and they want to move on from him, so be it as well. No skin off my back. I would say this does sort of move down the linebacker depth necessity that we were going to talk about as we get ready for these mock drafts. So the linebacker depth requirements, so to speak, or putting more depth into the linebacker spot via draft, that goes down here with the addition of E.J. Speed. Remember, the mock draft's going to come your way here in just a moment. I'll do one, and then the chat will do one. You will vote on the players that the chat ultimately picks in the mock draft. It should be a fun new experiment. And if it's awful, then we'll never do it again. But if it's fun, we'll do it from time to time. As we start to think about the mock drafts that we're going to do today, I thought it would be fun to put up a shopping list here for the Texans. Now, in red, I feel like you've got to be able to get that in the draft. The Texans need another wide receiver, and they need an O-line starter out of this draft. More than likely, both of those come in the first 2 days of the draft. I don't know that you want to be drafting a guy in the 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, 7th round, and plopping him opposite Nico Collins in week 1. But a 3rd rounder, a 2nd rounder, certainly a 1st rounder, an intriguing player. So in the red, I have things the Texans desperately need to leave the draft with. In blue, I put, hey, let's put a little bit more focus on this than some of the other stuff. Wide receiver depth. In addition to drafting somebody that hopefully will start opposite Nico Collins, you need somebody else to help fill out that wide receiver room. Right now, Justin Watson, Braxton Berrios, Jared Wayne, Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie, that's the bottom of the wide receiver room. If you added a draft pick to the equation with some useful talent, you might be able to cycle through the bottom part of the roster there when it comes to the pass catchers, and maybe you find something of note. I'd really like the Texans to add another running back. This can't be Dameon Pierce and Daria Gumbawale unchallenged at the running back spot again this training camp. You've got to have somebody come in there, and you've got to have somebody really have a role, be it the replacement for Joe Mixon if Mixon can't be there this season, the long-term fixture for Joe Mixon after Joe Mixon's done with the Texans, or have a role day one as a pass catcher, as a 3rd down back, something of that nature. And then some of the other things on the list, you see I crossed out linebacker depth. No, thank you. Now that EJ Speed's here, but tight end depth, somebody to push Brevin Jordan and maybe take Dalton Schultz's spot if Schultz is done at the end of the 2025 season. Secondary depth, you could always use another corner, another safety, somebody of note there. And then defensive linemen. We know DeMeco Ryans loves his defensive linemen. Edge guys, defensive tackles. Though you did give Mario Edwards a 2-year deal, there's still a lot of contracts that are going to expire at the defensive tackle spot. So maybe those as well. And I feel like that is a pretty good list if you're going to go shopping for the Texans when it comes to a draft. So 2 mock drafts headed your way. A big conversation about EJ Speed is also headed your way at 3 p.m. Landry Locker will talk about it on his channel. If you don't follow Landry, I have the link to Landry's channel in the chat for you. The Locker Room will have an EJ Speed video for you at 3 o'clock today. So right as we're finishing up here, Landry should have a big EJ Speed video for you, so don't miss out on that. Did a mock draft with the SNL folks earlier this week, but let's get a mock draft going. I like the Pro Football Focus machine. I know that's not everybody's favorite. The chat's mock draft will be on NFL Mock Draft Simulator from the NFL Mock Draft database. So, again, the needs, try to get a starter on the offensive line, try to get a wide receiver, depth at wide receiver, a running back for this team as well. Let's see what the draft gods have in store here for the Houston Texans as we get going. Okay, very weird start to the draft as the Tennessee Titans draft a defensive tackle. That's silly. We don't care what they draft. We care who's available and if it's realistic that a lot of these guys come off the board before the Texans pick. So a couple of Ohio State players. There goes Matthew Golden. There goes Luther Burden. Oh, man, the Steelers got the stick and pick there with Shadur Sanders. So are there any players that are really too highly drafted that we couldn't see actually going off the board in the first 24? Not really. Not really. Some of the spots don't make sense. Like obviously Mason Graham going 1 doesn't make any sense, but the players available for the Texans, like I can definitely see where all these players could come off the board and the Texans would be sitting here at 25. So 25th overall, trying to find a starter on the offensive line, trying to find a wide receiver, and the wide receivers have already been picked over a little bit. You're already out all of the likely first-round wide receivers, so that really kind of leaves us with an offensive lineman, an interior offensive lineman, or a tackle, and three names that you hear associated with the Texans quite a bit: Kelvin Banks Jr., Gray Zabel, the interior offensive lineman from North Dakota State. I know that this says tackle, but Zabel is going to play guard or center in the league. Connerly played tackle at Oregon. He could do both. He could do a tackle situation. He could also play guard for you as well. And then there's Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama, who mock drafts in Pro Football Focus have him much lower than most mock drafts. And I see a lot of folks advocating for a trade back. Nobody offering me a trade here in this situation. And with Shedeur Sanders being off the board already, it feels like a trade back would be difficult to find. Donovan Jackson from The Ohio State University, also an option. Amarion Hampton, I understand people's reservations with Hampton being a first-round pick for the Texans. You're not getting a crack at him in the second round. So, but I understand the reservations. I don't want to say this is a nightmare, but this is not an ideal situation. It's far from it. What did the Giants do up here at the top? They went with Abdul Carter. Maybe they still need a quarterback. Let's see if the Giants will come up. Let's see. Let's see if they'll give us 34. We'll try to move back. We'll do one shot at this, try to make this move back. And we'll see. Okay, the Giants are not interested in trading for this pick. Okay, well, can we convince them to trade for this pick, I guess? No, they don't want to trade for it. All right, so we got to stick and pick. Our time's running out on the clock here. I like Banks a lot when it comes to offensive lineman. He could play right away at guard, perhaps. He's also a tackle option long-term. If you knew that your tackle situation was going to be Banks and Blake Fisher in 2026 and beyond, you probably could do something like that. Donovan Jackson could be hanging around for us. Same with Tyler Booker. I like Banks more than Zabel. The competition has been excellent that he's had success against. Same with Connerly, but I'm going to draft Kelvin Banks Jr. and call it a day on the first day of the draft, as a lot of players really kind of popped off the board where they would have been more exciting than an offensive lineman, but necessity is important. So, again, wanted the offensive line starter, got the offensive line starter. We try to roll on here. Nobody wanted to trade back, so we couldn't trade back. We had to just stick and pick. Xavier Restrepo sticks around in Miami. It's good. It's going to take him a long time to run there. Okay, a couple of running backs come off the board. Cornerback comes off the board. Kentucky's Maxwell Harrison. A lot of people believe Harrison's going to end up being a first-round pick. Jaden Higgins from Iowa State would have been the pick for me if he was still there. There goes Donovan Jackson. So no doubling up on offensive linemen with the Ohio State guy. Currently at the top of the board right now, Cam Scattaboo, some edge players. Got a running back, Quinshawn Judkins, Dylan Sampson, Elijah Arroyo, the tight end from Miami, Trey Henderson from the Ohio State University. Got some tight ends available. Man, the wide receivers look like they might be picked over a little bit. Trey Harris would be fun. Jalen Knoll would be fun. Jalen Royals would be fun. The Texans' next pick at 79th. So if we felt like there was another player, then you could wait at wide receiver and wait for that thing to fall a little bit. Let's see what our trade offers are. The Lions are interested, and the Giants are interested. Oh, now the Giants want to talk to us. Okay, they got a 102. I mean, moving back 2 picks, what does that really do for us? If we pick up an extra pick, maybe I can get my running back later. I could draft a wide receiver now. All right, let's do this here. Let's see if okay, yeah. I wonder if they do 166 for 102. All right, I'll throw them 236 as well and 241. All right, so we get basically a third round pick. So we go 79, 89, 102. And then that kind of finishes up the draft here for us. Let's see. I wonder if they do we got an extra fourth next year. Would they do that? And 236. Let's see. We move back 2 spots, pick up a comp pick. All right, here we go. No harm, no foul. 2 running backs that we probably wouldn't take there. I like some of the other tight ends. I don't really want to sit around for a wide receiver. I don't want to wait on a wide receiver. To me, it's between Trey Harris and Jalen Noel. Harris, not as fast, a lot of production in college, but a lot of it against inferior competition. He tore up these bad teams and then got banged up a little bit this past year. Noel is a speedy guy. He is fast. Man, I do wonder, though. You know what? This is my mock draft. You guys will have your shot, your call here in a minute. We're going Trey Henderson, and we're waiting on a wide receiver. We're hoping none of them sneak off the board here. We got an extra pick. If we got to double up at wide receiver to give ourselves options, we'll do that. There goes Trey Harris. He's off the board. At the top here, we got tight ends. We got defensive linemen out the wazoo. Jalen Noel still there at wide receiver. Jalen Royals still there at wide receiver. And then it kind of gets a little more iffy as we wait. But I think I'm going to go with a wide receiver here. I think I'm grabbing Jalen Noel or Jalen Royals. Now, Jalen Royals, not a tremendous amount of impressive production. You look at the opponents here that he played, thanks to Pro Football Focus, and but he didn't drop the ball. Not a ton of screen yards, inside, outside. I just think there's a lack of high-end stuff to him. I'm drafting Jalen Noel. I'm hoping to get an offensive lineman or a defensive tackle in the next pick. I'm thinking there's going to be an offensive lineman available for me. Bing, bang, boom. Okay. We're going to guard. We're getting a clear guard for this team. Remember, we drafted Kelvin Banks in the first round. That's a future tackle. So we need a guard to help out on offense. Tate Ratledge, he's one of my draft crushes. He's one of my favorites. That's what we're going with. Again, you'll get your opportunity to vote, put things together in the next mock draft. The chat will decide. So now we're sitting here at 102. We next pick at 166. Wonder if there's something fun here for DeMeco Ryans, or if there is another wide receiver that we could add to the equation. Oluwafemi Oladejo is an intriguing player. He's a converted linebacker that turned into an edge rusher, and you look at some of his success against, big-time offenses, Penn State and USC. He had some pretty decent moments. Again, still kind of scratching the surface here on what OO can do. Still need some tight end help, but, the tight ends that could be available there when we next pick will be intriguing. We pick at 166, 102, Fedoni. So I'm not going to go tight end. Is there a defensive tackle that I like here? I don't like Deion Walker. I don't like him that much. Could I double up on wide receiver? Maybe try. I drafted sort of a speedy outside catch the ball back, so I'm not going with Jaden Blue. Oh, D'Amico Ryans is getting a linebacker. Well, no, you can't go linebacker. You just signed somebody. All right. What's available at wide receiver? We double up. I got Kyle Williams still hanging around there. Like tight end. You know what? Give me a defensive tackle. I like Jeremy Caldwell. He is a big fella. He was very good at the Senior Bowl. For some reason, my Pro Football Focus stuff's not popping up. We're going to go with a defensive tackle. We're going to get back on the offense at 166 and try to finish this thing up with a fun player at 241. I'm getting D'Amico Ryans a little present here at the end of the third round. Let's finish up day 2 with a defensive tackle. What's going on with the Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator? We frozen? What's going on here? Hello. The wonders of live, I'd say live television, but this is not television. Okay, we broke the Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator. We broke it trying to draft. We had such a good draft, this thing was broken. What's going on here? Look how good our draft was. We broke the simulator. Ratledge, Knoll, Henderson, Banks. All right. Are we bailing on this? Or do we want to restart? All right, let's play this game here. I will do our first poll here. Restart or bail? And we'll let the folks choose and see if the Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator. You can vote in the top of the chat now. There should be a poll there for you. We will end it here in a few moments and see ultimately what we come up with as the Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator falls apart. Yeah, you might get 2.5 mock drafts now. 2.5 mock drafts. I don't think the PFF deal is going to end up working. You'll lose your current draft progress. Thanks. Well, it wasn't going to work anyway. All right, so we'll make this one a little bit faster. A little bit more on the public, draft for need, less, a little bit less randomness. All right, looks like most everybody here is in favor of restart. So we will restart that mock draft. Let's go again here. All right, so we get another shot at this. And again, nobody who's shouldn't be in the top 20 has gone. Top 25 has gone yet. Michael Williams a little early maybe for him. Okay, so this has changed a little bit. This has been a much different setup here as we've got Colston Loveland available now and Luther Burden available now. Again, this is my draft. You know, you'll get your opportunity here in a moment when we do the chat draft. Matthew Golden already went. Josh Simmons is gone. Emeka Ikbuka is gone. Well, that's a perfect pick for the Chargers. I'm not going to hem and haw too much here just because we already spent so much time on mine. Hey, the Eagles want to talk to me. Well, if the Eagles want to talk to me, let's see if we can move up a couple spots from that 89. Can we sneak in a 134? Okay, so the Eagles want me to jump back to 32. And I'm picking up, 20 spots, and I'm picking up a 134. I'm doing this. All right, boom. Let's see what happens here. All my decisions get made for me. Now I'm sitting here in a weird spot. Now I'm sitting here in a very weird spot. Now, remind you, we're up again at the end of the second round. Let's go with Josh Connerly. Let's get an offensive lineman, Not the most, blow you away offensive lineman. I'm going to get offensive lineman. I'm going to make these other picks count here. 58-64 and a little back-to-back is going to be nice. Make these other picks count. I liked him last time. I'm going with Trey Henderson again. He went by Trey Henderson at the draft, but nobody has adjusted that just yet. Now, this is our 89th pick that we were able to move up from. We can wait another 5 picks, grab us a... Is there anything up here that DeMeco Ryans just couldn't pass up from a defensive standpoint? Not really. Not really. I like Mason Taylor. I bet they like his pedigree. So we're going to go with that. We're going to try to get a wide receiver with the next pick. Yeah, man, Trey Harris just keeps escaping me. That's fine. We'll take Jalen Knoll. All right, now we got a little wait here. So, lineman, we got Josh Connerly. We're going to have to figure it out with another one of these linemen later. Miss out on my guy Tate Ratledge. That other draft worked out way better for me. But we've added some impressive offensive talents for the future. DeMeco Ryans is trying to break in to the draft room right now as we're talking. He wants a defender. We've got to get an interior lineman, or we've got to get a tackle. We've got to get somebody to help out with the interior. Wonder if we could wait and get Monahan to help out on the interior. Take a look at Kandra here. He was okay at Cincinnati. First draft was better. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Lunt had some success at Connecticut. I don't love any of these offensive linemen. I also don't know a ton about them. What's on the board here for me? Yeah, nothing awesome. Nothing awesome. We're on the clock at 166. Let's take the guard from Cincinnati. Gives us a body, another body. Gives us another body. Now I have a very clear goal here with this next pick, and he just got stolen from me. I was going to draft Jackson Hawes. Boy, I hate this mock draft. This mock draft sucks. I hope y'all do better than I do. All right. This mock draft's falling apart for me. I know they like Logan Brown. Golly, this mock draft stinks. I'm just going to finish it up here and let you guys take over. Let you guys handle it. Let's get Monahan. Let's get another offensive lineman. Woo! Another offensive lineman. Depth. We already got Mason Taylor. We can't go Fedoni. We already got Mason Taylor. Forget it. Draft a kicker. My first draft, everybody saw it, was much better. It was much better. There goes my blocking tight end and Dippery. So this draft's fallen. I mean, this draft's gone to hell in a handbasket. All right, let me go get another wide receiver here. I like Ricky White. from UNLV. Boom. I'm getting Ricky White on the clock here in the next few moments. Let's see. Connerly, Henderson, Taylor, Knoll. A couple of options here. Let's see if there's a linebacker or defensive tackle or something that we can make D'Amico Ryans happy. Cool, Dan Jackson. This draft stunk. This draft stunk. I hated it. Well, thanks for my 2 new awards here. The first draft was too good, and so they had to neuter me. You get a tackle / maybe guard right away. You get a backup running back. You get the future at tight end. You get a starter opposite Nico Collins. You get options throughout the back part of this draft. Okay, whatever. Whatever. All right, this is going to be your draft. So you'll have to stay with me here and you'll have to be patient. But this is going to be the chat draft. We're going to go 7 rounds, normal speed, standard. We'll call it the chat draft. Okay. And I'm going to let the mock draft play out. And then when the Texans are on the clock, I'll put a poll up and the chat will decide. The chat will decide who the player is, and I'll give you as much background or whatever as needed on the player. So let's get this thing started. Let's get to 25, and let's get the chat picking. This is your draft. I'm not going to try to influence or say you should go this way or that way. But all right, we're not going to trade here. There's too much, hemming and hawing and so on and so forth. Okay, so here's what the NFL mock draft database simulator has available for the Houston Texans. You've got Colston Loveland from Michigan. You've got Josh Simmons from The Ohio State University. You've got Tyler Booker from Alabama. You've got Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. You've got Emeka Egbuka from The Ohio State University. I'm going to put the 4 players in here, and the chat is going to vote. We will go by the vote. What's the pick at 25? Okay. Tight end, Loveland. OSU wide receiver, Egbuka. OSU OT Simmons. NDSU IOL Zabel. So you get 4 options here. The poll goes. We'll let the poll go for a little bit here. I'm not going to tell you what I would do. I'll just tell you a little bit about the players that are indeed available here. Now, Jahade Barron is an intriguing player. I don't believe he'd actually be available at 25. The Texans have too much committed to the cornerback spot already. Now, again, the vote is in the chat, so you've got to go in there and actually click a vote here, and we'll let it roll for a little bit more. Colston Loveland, tight end at Michigan. People think he's more of a pass catcher. His blocking ability is okay. He had a hurt shoulder last year, so they didn't ask him to block that much. Josh Simmons, a tackle from The Ohio State University. Some people believe he's the best tackle in this class. He's coming off of a serious knee injury. And then Gray Zabel, if you've been around the channel, we've talked a little bit about the North Dakota State offensive lineman. He played tackle for the Bison, but he's going to play on the interior at the NFL level. And he showcased some incredible athleticism in the draft process. And then at the Senior Bowl, he had a lot of success as well. And then Emeka Egbuka is what most people consider to be one of the safest players in this draft. High floor, maybe a little bit lower ceiling than some, but he's one of the most productive wide receivers to come out of Ohio State. He was there for 4 seasons. He left as the all-time receptions leader and receiving yards leader for Ohio State. Only 20 people have scored more touchdowns than Emeka Egbuka. So Egbuka is winning here on the poll as we look at it. 53% to 32% for Colston Loveland. It looks like it's going to be Emeka Egbuka here. He's got a significant lead over the offensive lineman. And with the need at wide receiver, the chat has picked Emeka Egbuka at 25th overall. We get an A from the NFL mock draft database simulators. Good job, chat. Everybody put those votes in. We're going to have Emeka Egbuka. We're not going to let it hang out there too long. Okay. No thanks. That's awful. And the Jaguars can stick it. Pick up a 4th and a 2026 3rd to move back 5 spots? Hold on now. Okay, let's find the 4 players. And we may put trade in there. So I would tell you right now, as you look at it, Irsary, the tackle from Minnesota, Xavier Watts, the safety from Notre Dame, just drafted a wide receiver, so probably not putting Jaden Higgins on that. Jonah Savanaia from Arizona. Marcus Bowe would be a player that's intriguing here. I could go ahead and put Ratledge on there. He's a little bit further down. So let's do this here. Let's do – okay, if you want the KC trade, the UMOT Airsuri. AZ OG Jonah. And then we will go, I'm telling you, Xavier Watts is an intriguing player. We'll go ND safety, Xavier Watts. The Texans might have a hard time passing him up. I'm going to start the poll here. And if the trade wins here, and we'll give it a couple of minutes to kind of let it go here. If the trade wins, it's pretty easy. We'll just take the KC trade and then we'll do another poll here. The KC trade's off to an early lead. And again, let's remind you exactly what that Kansas City trade is. It's going to be moving back 5 spots, picking up a 4th rounder and a 7th rounder, and ultimately getting a 3rd rounder next year. So it's a little unrealistic. It's a little unrealistic, but if you get this offer, you have to say yes, I would think, in a lot of people's minds, because you're only moving back 5 spots here. Okay, nothing's even coming close here to the trade. You know, once we got about a quarter of the people in the chat to weigh in. Hey, if Tyleek Williams is still there, Luis, you know, I'll put him on the list here if you move back 5 spots. Marcus says we're not working with KC. Well, you know, Buffalo did it last year. Didn't work out for them, but Buffalo did it. All right, the chat and the voting is the KC trade. So we're going to take that Kansas City trade. Good job, everybody. You picked up some draft capital, and, you know, most of the players are still there. So Tyleek Williams is a defensive tackle. We'll use him to replace Xavier Watts. So the new poll's about to start here. OSU DT Williams. We'll go with AZ OG Jonah. Let's see who else we can add to the equation here. I don't love Marcus Bowe. I'm going to leave him out of the equation. I'm going to put Ratledge on there. UGA OG Ratledge. And then going to, let's see what's on the, see what's available at running back. I know some folks were saying, hey, maybe running back, maybe running back. We'll put Iowa running back Caleb Johnson on there. Okay, so the chat has 4 options here: a defensive tackle, 2 guards, and a running back. The poll is started. You're voting here on the poll. The 4 players that we're talking about: Tyleik Williams, the defensive tackle here from The Ohio State University. Just a big, massive human being. Pretty impressive player. And, would be a nice selection here at the back end of the second round. Your offensive lineman, Jonah Savanaia, can play interior, played a little tackle at Arizona, but ultimately is going to probably be a guard at the next level. Caleb Johnson is one of the most productive running backs in this draft. Mr. Consistency from Iowa, maybe not as much of a home run guy as some of these other guys, but consistency and trustworthiness. And the folks are familiar with old Tate Ratledge and how much I like him. A ton of snaps at guard at Georgia. Again, in the chat, there is a poll for you to vote. And that is how we will make the selection. The defensive tackle, a guard, and a running back are your 4 options. It is your choice. It is not mine. I'll just provide what I can. JB wants the big defensive tackle from Florida, the 450-pounder. Yeah, he was. It was fun watching him work out here. Okay, so we got just over a quarter of the folks weighing in here in the poll, and Tate Ratledge is ultimately looks like it's going to be the selection. So there we go. We're going to go with Georgia offensive lineman Tate Ratledge. So we know the Texans like Ohio State players. We know they like Georgia players, and they continue to roll. Well, we're not taking that. We're not taking that. That's too many draft picks. Okay. Right back on the clock here. I'm going to put Savanaia. I'm going to put Johnson on the board as well. Ugh. Man, I don't know. I'll put a defender on there, but I have to imagine between Johnson and Savanaia. All right, so a couple of picks here. Start a poll. Iowa RB Johnson. Let's go AZ OG Jonah. Let's put a tight end in the equation. This is a name we haven't talked about a ton. He's more of a pass-catching tight end, but Harold Fannin Jr. Let's go with Bowling Green tight end. Fannin Jr. Let's see what defender is available here. Hard name to say. Princely from Mississippi. Umamalian, which I think I just butchered it, but nice player. Birch would be an intriguing player, but again, they've got a lot of depth on defense already. Egbuka kind of fills the slot role, so you probably don't want to slot it up again with Restrepo. I'll put Gunnar Helm there as well. Well, you know what? I'll just put Princely in there. Miss D.E. Princely. It's good, getting good value, and they're back on the clock here in another 10 picks. So those are your options. Let's see what the folks here ultimately end up picking. The chat can now vote on the players that are available. You vote in the chat here. So a running back, a guard, a tight end, and a defensive end are your options here. Pandeline didn't like any of these options. I do what I can. There's only 4 options here. It's only 4 options. And once we get to about a quarter of the chat here, we will end that. Brandon says, keep scrolling. All right, so you can vote in the chat. This is your draft. Literally nobody has picked the Ole Miss defensive end. It's primarily leaning towards Iowa running back Caleb Johnson. JB says, hey, I voted for the guard due to not knowing who that running back is. Well, let me pull you up a little info here about Caleb Johnson, because it looks like he is going to end up being the selection unless something big happens. Johnson, widely considered to be one of the top running backs in this class. Some people have him as high as the 3rd running back. I've seen him as low as sort of the 4th or 5th running back. Let me just pull the draft down here a little bit, show you a little bit about Johnson. Super productive at Iowa this year, 1,500 yards, 21 touchdowns. Just because he didn't catch the ball a ton doesn't mean that he can't, but, they didn't throw it to him a lot, but they also didn't throw the ball a lot at Iowa. Top end of the situation when it comes to yards after contact. And, man, he has a lot of yards after contact, plenty of explosiveness. I think you'll be happy with Caleb Johnson. Let me double-check the poll here. Yeah, that's going to be the selection. Caleb Johnson is the pick. And now, a short 10 picks later, the Texans are back in there. The Saints are offering 2 picks next year. No, thank you. Okay. Let's put Isaiah Bond on the list here. Start a poll. We'll go with UT wide receiver Bond. He is very fast, very fast. I'm going to put, let's see, defensive tackle. Let's put Florida State's Josh Farmer on there, maybe. Nah, let's not worry too much about where the rankings say they are. Okay, let's do 2 tight ends here. Let's go UT tight end, Helm. Let's go Oregon tight end, Fergus. Let's call him T-Ferg. One more position here. Got a running back. I think Kyle Williams got drafted already. Yeah, he just went, so can't go Kyle Williams. Let's go with Maryland D tackle Phillips. All right, 4 players for you to pick from. Texas wide receiver Isaiah Bond, Texas tight end Gunnar Helm, Oregon tight end Terrence Ferguson, who was one of the fastest tight ends at the combine, and Maryland defensive tackle Jordan Phillips. Leave the poll up here for a minute. Go vote right now in the chat. Go vote and make your case to your fellow members of the chat as well. As a reminder, Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver from Ohio State, already a member of the Texans. Tate Ratledge, the guard from Georgia, already a member of the Texans. And Caleb Johnson, the running back from Iowa, already a member of the Texans. So all offense with a chance to add more offense here. Poll is close. Bond at 40%, Gunnar Helm at 33%, Oregon tight end Terrence Ferguson at 23%, and then Maryland defensive tackle Jordan Phillips at 4%. Now, folks wondering about Bond. Bond initially started at – he did not start at Texas. He transferred there, but I can't ever remember if it's Georgia or Alabama that he came from. Speedy guy. Said he was going to beat Xavier Worthy's time at the combine than actually didn't get that close. The folks have sort of spoken already. A lot of votes in already. About a quarter of the chat have voted. And Isaiah Bond, the speedster, he was a little banged up this year. But it looks like it's going to be Isaiah Bond from the chat. These are your votes, not mine. But your draft's better than mine. All right, so Isaiah Bond. Now there's a little bit of a wait here. 133, 166, 236, 241, 251. So 2 wide receivers, a inside-outside guy in Igbuka, as well as an outside speedster in a guy like Isaiah Bond. Luis, I'd take Kyle Williams over Bond. Well, Kyle Williams was not available. No, thank you, Philadelphia. And now, back here on the board. All right, we're going to put a couple of defenders up. Billy Bowman, the safety from Oklahoma, is going to make the list here initially. OU safety Bowman. And then we're going to go UL cornerback Riley. What kind of position? Where does everybody want the position to be? Obviously not going quarterback. There's defensive linemen. There's safeties. You know, you could get a more pass-catching forward running back. Get maybe a different defender, Savion Jones. He's only going to be 21 when the draft gets here. We're not drafting a linebacker. No, thank you. Folks want to see what the tight end situation is. Not amazing. Fedoni's way down here. I don't love the rankings here, but this is where these guys go in mock drafts. A defensive lineman. Ty Robinson would be a fun one. Ole Miss's defensive lineman here would be a fun one. Peebles was good. Let's put Ty Robinson in there. Let's put Nebraska D lineman Robinson. And then we need offensive players. Stop saying kicker. Or a tackle? No. Yeah, I feel like if I put Thornton on, you guys are going to pick him. I mean, the chat's been asking for him, though. We'll go UT, wide receiver, Thornton. All right, there's your poll. 3 defenders and another wide receiver. Let's see what this one is. People keep saying, I see Kobe Bryant. He's too small. He's a very tiny human being. Esco, you're just speaking. You're speaking to the folks. You're not. You're not yelling at me. This is the chat's pick. ESG Soccer. Who in the Texans universe can eval O line we have? I mean, you got to hope that it's Cole Popovich and Nick Caley leading the charge and helping out with these offensive linemen, ESG. Appreciate you with the super chat. You got to hope that Cole Popovich has a louder voice and he does a better job. The Nebraska defensive lineman is winning, by the way. Ty Robinson from Nebraska. Really good at the Senior Bowl. Got about a quarter of the chat in. We'll give it a second here. Luis, I voted Robinson only because of all the unrealistic J.J. Watt comps I've heard. Marcus doesn't like what the chat's doing. All right, it's going to be Robinson here. Ty Robinson. I did not expect the chat to draft Ty Robinson, but here we are. Here we are. And the Texans draft rolls on. Still could probably use a tackle as a depth guy. No thank you, Cleveland. No thank you, Dallas. No thank you, Las Vegas. And get bent, Tennessee. Could probably use some defenders. A lot of fun names here on the. All right. We're going to try to get this one as versatile and diverse as possible. Okay, got 4 more picks. So, again, we'll go UT wide receiver, Thornton. So the folks have been asking about him a lot. What's the tackle situation like? I'm going to put Logan Brown on here. We'll go KUOT Logan Brown. It's the tight end spot. Let's see. Among these guys, they already draft my guy. Oh, yeah, they already drafted Jackson Hawes. All right, that's fine. We'll go Clemson tight end, Jake Brenningstool. And we'll put this corner up here. Zach Frazier from UTSA. What's the cornerback room look like? UTSA cornerback Frazier. All right, the poll's active. You got a wide receiver from Tennessee, a tackle from Kansas, who maybe could play a little guard, but probably is better served as a backup tackle. Clemson's tight end Jake Brenningstool, and UTSA cornerback Zach Frazier. The chat that's selling a soul. So we'll let that one roll a little bit. Wow, I'm surprised at how this one's shaken out. Surprised at how this one's shaken out, but folks, they know the needs of the team, and they're a little worried about waiting at various positions. Wow, so the offensive tackle checking in here as the winner. A little over a quarter of the chat. Give it another moment or two, but he's up by 20 or so points. All right, so we're going to end that here. Logan Brown, the Kansas tackle. I know the Texans have talked to him. So, Kansas. Now, some late picks, some dart throws here. So we wait. The 6th round rolls through. Texans could still use a tight end. There should be some options there. Texans could use a defensive back at some point. Maybe a pass-catching running back as well. All right, so the Texans are up. Okay. Let's put a couple of running backs on here. Rutgers running back Monagai. USC running back Marks. Got to look at the tight ends here. Ooh. Out of these guys, I like Dipri the most. So we'll go Bama tight end Dipri. And a defensive back. So let's see what's there at corner, what's there at safety. I got to be honest with you, I don't know a lot about these guys' names here. Corner and safety. I love the Georgia players. Maybe they'd take him. All right, let's do Dotson here. KU corner Dotson. All right, vote fast here because we're here in the 7th round. So we're just throwing darts at this point. Vote fast. We still got 2 more picks after this one. Let's see what the chat ends up picking here. Let's see. Tight end is winning out. Dotson's the only one that's close to him here. Once we get to about a quarter of the chat having voted, we'll close it up and keep it moving here. The light rounds, we're going to kind of fly through them here. Luis PFF has Dotson pretty high. Let's go take a look, see. The PFF has Dotson as the 120th ranked player on their big board. That's pretty good. All right. Dotson's closing in there. We'll give it up until it gets going a little bit more. My first time seeing Logan Brown's name. Played right tackle for the Jayhawks. Was at Minnesota before Kansas, I believe. I like the way he talked about football when I talked to him at the Combine. And I know the Texans have talked to him. He said they talked to him. So give it one more second here. Get up to about 50 votes or so. We'll call it. Reminder, if you want to talk or if you want a conversation about EJ Speed, a little bit more about what he brings to the equation, Landry Locker's got a video for you on EJ Speed. I will send you to it as soon as we are done here, chat. As soon as we are done here, get you over to Landry Locker talking EJ Speed. If you want to go watch it now, you certainly can. All right, the chat picked the tight end from Bama. Dipri. I called him the Terminator when he's walking around. If our cornerback from does anybody have any issues with Dotson? He was close. So what should we just go Dotson again? Does anybody in the chat have any issues with that? Since Dotson was close. Our numbers here were 46-42. I think it's fair to just go ahead and get Dotson. One more pick here. One more pick. Got a corner, a defensive lineman, wide receivers, interior offensive lineman, a tackle. Okay, let's do this here. Let's go Q's RB Allen. So LaQuint Allen. I don't think there's any sort of just like clear pass catchers in there. Is there any guards I have any sort of familiarity with? Where are my interior linemen? Ew. Ha! Just kidding. We're not doing kickers. Trying to just catch to see if any of these names jump out as guys the Texans have talked to. They really haven't. All right, we're gonna put Tesla on there. I love Tesla. Let's see. Hogs, wide receiver, Tesla. All right, so a wide receiver, running back. Let's go Utah, DT Tafuna. And let's see here. Needed like a safety or something. I don't know. Did Hook get a Senior Bowl invite? Give me a second here. Let me look at these safeties. Unless there's a linebacker, like a late linebacker. No. Bleh. Let's just put the Minnesota end. Luis asks, what a defensive tackle you want, Luis? I wish I knew a little bit more about these back end safeties. They don't need another tight end. Mays is supposed to be better than that. I don't see it though. Let's just put this. He's the top safety. Let's go Cal safety Woodson. All right, here's the vote. Last one here. You got a running back, you got a wide receiver, you've got a defensive tackle, and you got a safety here. So we'll let this one roll a little bit. To recap what the chat has picked, Emeka Egbuka, Tate Ratledge, Caleb Johnson, Isaiah Bond, Ty Robinson, Logan Brown, who is a right tackle for the Jayhawks this past year, CJ Dippre from Alabama, thought to be more of a stiff, but he showed off some receiving prowess at the Senior Bowl. And then Mello Dotson from Kansas, who mock draft simulator database has much lower than PFF. They have him as a top 130 player, Mello Dotson. Very diverse draft here. You got something for everybody. You got some defenders. You got some help on offense. You got some interior guys on the line. You got some guys at the tackle spot as well. So this is a hotly contested one between the defensive tackle and the safety. What about that 465-pound defensive tackle? Yeah, he's going to be an undrafted free agent, I have to imagine. He's going to be an undrafted free agent, I would think. From Florida. All right. Gone. Ooh, Tafuna's catching up here. I'll wait till we get to about 45-ish or so votes. Keep voting. It's live. I like this draft. I like it probably as much, maybe a little bit more than the draft I had at Pro Football Focus that actually worked. The one that wasn't working was the best draft maybe ever. But this one, it's not bad. I just like the variety. You get a lot of different players. Inside outside guy with Igbuka, potentially an immediate starter at right guard and Ratledge, a clear role for Johnson day one. Bond is your speedy outside guy. And he'll be the fastest wide receiver on the team day one. Ty Robinson's a rotational defensive lineman. Logan Brown is a depth piece at tackle. Diprie's a depth piece at tight end. Dotson's a depth piece at cornerback. Play a little special teams for you, so can Diprie. Wow, I did not expect the chat to flip here to Tafuna. All right, we're calling it. Tafuna, the defensive tackle out of Utah, but can play up and down the line. That's what he told me at the Senior Bowl. And there's your draft. It is indeed finished. The Texans, the chat draft. Emeka Igbuka, Tate Ratledge, Caleb Johnson, Isaiah Bond, Ty Robinson, Logan Brown, CJ Diprie, Mello Dotson, and Junior Tafuna. And it's worth noting that in that trade back, we also picked up a future third. So this is what you ended up picking up here. Future third round pick and all these selections. It's a good job by everybody. Good job. A little bit of a surprise there. Shedeur Sanders going to the Titans. All right. What did you think of the chat draft? Did you like it? I mean, I let you guys make the decisions there. Did you like the chat draft? It's a fun little exercise, just hanging out on a Saturday. Let you guys jump in, have some conversations. We're not going to do it every time. I like to give y'all more than just one mock draft. Bubba homeschool. It's okay, but disappointing, just like in real life. Yeah, like the mock draft, like 25 is just a weird spot. If they were about 5 spots higher, they'd have a little bit clearer. And if they were about 5 spots lower, they'd have a little bit clearer what they can do. So, and that was a fun. Lefevre. I'd rather Tesla, the Arkansas wide receiver in the 7th, over Bond on day 2. Well, you could have had both, but the chat did not like Tesla. So, all right. I appreciate everybody for coming through, hanging out, and appreciate everybody participating in the chat, going through that. If you were active in the chat, if you were just voting, it was a fun exercise. We'll do some more mock drafts before the draft gets here. I'm headed to the owners' meetings. This weekend. I leave tomorrow morning. It's in West Palm Beach. So I'll be headed there. I want to tell you guys a little bit about one of my partners here in West Palm Beach. If you're headed out to West Palm Beach, if you're headed out there, you're going to want to stay at the Casa Grandview in West Palm Beach. Look at this beautiful property that they have. They've got the Casa Grandview Inn as well as the vacation rentals. It's right there in the heart of West Palm Beach. It is an absolutely beautiful environment. You can see all the gorgeous views, all the different types of places for you to stay. If you're an Astros fan and you're going to West Palm Beach next year for spring training, Casa Grandview is the place. Casa Grandview You'll be hearing about them a bunch over the next couple of days, but it is a gorgeous place. You can catch it in West Palm Beach. So if you're planning a trip, like, gosh, this Houston heat is just killing me. I got to get to somewhere just a tiny bit cooler this summer. Casa Grandview in West Palm Beach is the place to be, and you're going to enjoy your stay. I'm excited to get out there and hang out. The lady that owns it, Cheryl, is extremely nice. So when you're thinking about making travel arrangements next year for the Astros in spring training, when you're thinking about making travel arrangements for a vacation, Casa Grandview is going to provide elegant luxury, and you're going to get tremendous value as well when you visit with my friends at Casa Grandview, West Palm Beach, casagrandview.com, casagrandview.com. We'll put that information in the chat, and you'll be hearing about the Casa Grandview folks here over the next couple of days. West Palm Beach this weekend. I'll have a video from West Palm Beach tomorrow, getting you ready for Monday when D'Amico Ryans will speak. It'll be his first time talking about Laramie Tunsil. It'll be his first time talking about all these free agent acquisitions, Christian Kirk, and so on. We'll talk to D'Amico Ryans about that on Monday. Cal McNair will speak on Tuesday. Conversations about the future of NRG Stadium will be the big thing that you want to talk about with Cal McNair. So much more. Appreciate everybody for watching. The stickers have been ordered, so stickers will be on your way here in the next couple of weeks. Be on the lookout for that. And of course, we finish the live stream the same way each and every time. It's my hope for you. It's my charge for you as well. I want you to eat good. I want you to sleep good. I want you to be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Everybody go watch Landry Locker. Talk about EJ Speed. The link is in the chat. Visit with him and hang out with him and talk a little football with him over on the Locker Room. Appreciate everybody for watching. Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Goodbye, everybody. Happy Saturday. Go Texas Tech. Beat the Gators.